This episode of Off My Shelf contains coarse language and adult conversation. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, my name is Tracy James, and welcome to Off My Shelf, a podcast about movies that are well off my shelf, where we go through my DVDs and talk about the movies in my collection. In this episode, Jessica Lutzer is here to chat about two very different movies, Election and Equilibrium. Welcome!
Hi, happy to be here.
Thanks for joining me. We had a little bit of a Zoom technical difficulty when we started, but I think this is just our life these days.
Yeah, it seems it might just be me because I always start Zoom meetings off with technical difficulties. So, that just is what it is in 2020. So.
Yeah, but you're not the only one though. Like something is always wrong when I use it, and it doesn't even really matter which platform it is. It could be Zoom. It could be like the Google. It's not Hangouts anymore. It's something else now. It could be. Yeah, change it to something else. What did they change it to? Click. It's Google Meet. That's what it's called now. And Skype. It doesn't really matter what the platform is. Somebody always has an issue when the meeting first starts, and we're all just like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? What about over here? What about over here? What about this? Well, how do I connect to the thing?" Or you get like 35 emails complaining about it because they can't get on at all. So.
Yeah. No, yeah. I know it. You always inevitably lose the first 15, 20, half an hour of a meeting just figuring out how to run the meeting. So
yeah. I don't know at this point in time. I don't know if I find it entertaining or just annoying, but
it's kind of just something you just kind of sigh and accept because it's just what other options are there. So it's like, okay, well, we're just going to deal with the technology and, that's what else can we do? Nothing.
Yeah, let's just hope it'll get better. Or at some point in time in the near future, we'll be able to go outside and meet other people. But not sooner. It's going to be later, but,
Actually do it in person and not over. I think some things are going to stay computerized and stuff like that, but it would be nice to meeting in people. I do prefer meeting in person because I read body language better than over the computer, but one day, maybe 2021, maybe mid 2021.
2022. Yeah.
2022, I know. I'm trying to be positive, Tracy. But yeah, realistically, if there's an actual vaccine, they have to inoculate like 70% of the population in order to make it effective, without putting vulnerable people at risk. So yeah, reality is 2022 when we can probably. That's if there's a vaccine that is full coverage.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, there's our COVID talk. We're going to continue on to some movie talk now. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. It's unavoidable, unfortunately, these days, right? Because I used to be like, oh, so how are you? And people be like, I did these 12 things. Or, what you going to do on the weekend? Oh, I'm going to do these 5 things. People are just like, why are you asking me these things? You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be inside doing nothing.
Yeah, that's actually my mom called me today, and she was like, you didn't call me, because I tend to call her because it's long distance and I'm covered. And I was like, I have nothing to say. I had the same day I had yesterday. And she's actually like, same. I have nothing new to report. Sometimes there's like new family drama and stuff, but most of the time it's just like, oh, what'd you do? Well, I went to work, came home, and she just, because I didn't leave the house because she's not working right now. So yeah, it's like there's not really much to talk about most days. So
yeah, I totally get that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My mom's always asking me, what am I doing? And I'm like, I'm sitting in front of my computer working most of the time. Yes. Other times I'm like, I got nothing else to do. So I'm sitting in front of the computer again. That's it. That's just how that's working.
Yep.
Well, at least this week we had a purpose for sitting in front of televisions and computers because we got to watch movies. Yay.
We did. Yes. And 2 very, very different movies, obviously.
Yes. One thing, I tend to space out my movie watching for this. So I'll watch it one day, then I'll watch the next one another day, or a week apart or something, just so I can let the movie sit with me and be like, how did I feel about it? But I'm like this, whether it's a new movie, an old movie, or any kind of movie. This is one of the reasons why I like the idea of a film festival, but I can't do film festivals because I can't watch 12 movies in a day.
Neither can I.
Yeah. And because then they all just mesh together, and I'm just like, well, now I have to rewatch everything so I can be like, oh, I actually saw the movie, paid attention to it, understood it, and now I can continue with my life.
Mm-hmm.
But with these two movies, I watched them both last night, and because they were so different, there's no mixing up the stories, there's no mixing up, the ideas, there's no mixing up anything. So that was really easy to do. Mm-hmm. And also, it was like 2:00 in the morning when I finished watching them, and I was fine because both of these movies kept me awake because they were both entertaining and interesting and just kind of fun,
Yes. No, that's exactly it. Like, they're both entertaining and fun for different reasons, right? So, yes. Which one did you want to start talking about?
Well, let's just start with election. I mean, chronologically and alphabetically comes first.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
So this weird and quirky film came out in 1999, starring Matthew Broderick and Reese Witherspoon, along with Chris Klein. And it was actually, I didn't realize this before, but it's based on a book by a guy named Tom Perrotta. And Reese Witherspoon plays a girl named Tracy Flick. I hate Tracy. I love myself, but I hate this Tracy very much. So,
oh yeah, you guys have the same name.
We have the same name. But she smells yeah.
But she kind of has like the perfect name for the movie, like for her character, like Tracy Flick. Flick is so like aggressive and like flick, like it's it's actually very perfect for her, and I assume the author did that with intention. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, it's funny enough, like, I didn't realize it was a 90s movie. I don't know why. I just always, like, remember Election, but I couldn't pinpoint exactly when it came out. And, like, Reese Witherspoon is such a baby in it.
She's like so young, yeah.
So she actually looks like a teenager, which, like, is perfect. She had that baby face, like, because I know she was in, I think she was in, this is after Cruel Intentions.
I'm pretty sure it was, yes.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, everyone looks so young. Even Matthew Broderick, because I don't know. He's got to be in his 50s, 60s now? I don't know.
Well, he's not young. I'll give you that. I mean, he was famous in the 80s, which was, 40 years ago. So it's been a while.
I think he's in his 60s at this point. So he was probably in his 40s during the filming of this.
Yeah, so Reese Witherspoon was born in 1976, so she would have been 23 years old while she did this movie. And yeah, she still has that young, fresh teenager look.
Yeah, like when they're supposed to be teenagers, but they look 32, and you're like, no, you don't look like a teenager. And I did really like, and I actually noticed how most of the background cast were actual teenagers.
Yes, they were.
Like, they looked like teenagers. They didn't look like, a bunch of 20-year-olds walking around a high school trying to play a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Supposed to be the awkward.
It's not 90210. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Matthew Perry. Oh, God rest his soul. But Matthew Perry was so old, like, when he filmed that.
But they all were. I think the youngest person on set was like 26 or something. And the person was like 35. And they're playing 16 and 17-year-olds. And you're just like, we can tell. Like, we can tell.
You look like you could have kids. And you're supposed to be playing a teenager. So.
Yeah. Well, sadly, there's a lot of teenagers who have kids. The funny thing is, the other day I was thinking about high school, and in grade 10, three grade 9 girls had kids. And for my high school, that was a lot of people, because in grade 10, our high school had 150 people, including grade 9 and 10 on all the staff. So that was like a super high percentage of pregnant teenagers. And then I was thinking about that, and I was just like, oh my God, their kids are 24 years old, at least, or going to be, and they're like graduating from college and has jobs. Maybe I'm working with one of them and I don't even know it. Like, it's just, it's blowing my mind.
Yeah, I don't recall if someone got pregnant in high school, they left the school quietly and we didn't know.
Oh.
So like someone just left, and that's possible. I was, a bit high in high school, so I was not one of the super involved kids, you know?
Yeah.
I showed up, did my work, and I left.
Yeah, despite being a Catholic high school that had some very strict rules, no, we had 3 pregnant chicks walking around. But
Catholic, I do quotation. We had the drug dogs in often, and I went to a Catholic high school.
Yeah.
We knew when we weren't allowed to go to the bathroom, they'd lock the doors, and the German Shepherds would be in the school. And inevitably, a kid in the class would freak out because they had weed in their locker. And we're all just like, why would you keep the weed in the locker? This has happened before. Like,
you should know better.
You should know better. Either keep it with you in your car or, like, just, you know, don't bring it. I don't know, because inevitably someone would get caught. And
yeah, we were kind of lucky. We didn't have drug sniffing dogs come in, not as far as I know, at least. I also wasn't paying that much attention. But I was a surprisingly good. No, I was a good kid, but I was a horrible student. Like, I went to all my classes and all that kind of stuff, but I never did homework. I complained a lot. I don't like waking up in the morning. What do you want from me? Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, you're more of a night owl. I waking up was fine for me, but I was actually trying to think of my high school experience. Did I have a school government? Like, did you have a president, vice president? Did you do elections?
No, that's the thing I was thinking when I watched this movie too. I was just like, first of all, you guys are taking this way too seriously. Second of all, I don't remember having any kind of elections or anything like that while I was in high school. Like, I remember having, you had, yearbook and all that kind of stuff. Drama club, whatever. But I don't remember anything about student government.
No, I don't know if that just wasn't, if that's a Canadian thing or if that's just strictly American thing, or it depends on the school board. But, I was the Catholic School Board of Niagara Falls, and I don't remember anything. And I was at a school of 800 people. I think I would have at least, it's not like I didn't participate. I got good grades and stuff. I just wasn't the most active in extracurricular. Oh my God. Okay. I'm not going to be able to say it.
Extracurricular.
I see. Extracurricular activities. So no, I don't think I did. So I'm like, oh, so I actually find it very interesting. And also the fact that we're witnessing an election. I think the movie always comes back around, because I looked online and I saw an article that people often would compare Hillary Clinton to Tracy Flick.
Yes. That is actually one of the first thoughts I had when I was watching it. Even just the way Tracy Flick looks, I was like, oh my God, that was totally Hillary Clinton in high school.
That middle America, Barbie, preppy, go-getter, and will step on you to get to where she wants to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can see, especially Hillary Clinton, when she was younger, she looked a lot like that. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. So as I was watching the movie, first of all, except for Chris Klein's character, who is kind of the nice dimwit,
the sweetest, dumbest boy ever.
He really is.
And well off, and gets all the girls, just kind of has an easy ride through high school, probably will have an easy ride
through life.
Years, get into a decent job, find a wife, have 2-3 kids, white picket fence, it's happening.
Yeah.
He just is gonna fall into all of that.
Because that's his privilege. That's where he is, right? And at first I really understood Tracy Flick's dislike of him. He's just been given everything in his life. And it's true, he has. But he's not a bad person, right? But I find everybody else, every other character in this movie, are bad people.
Oh, I would say Mr. M. Is it McAllister?
Something like that.
Anyway, I just gonna call him Mr. M. That man is he's immoral. He is thoroughly his little best friend who he hates, who seduced a child, and he's angry at a teenager for the affair. His very adult, I don't know how old that man was, definitely in his mid-40s.
Yeah.
And on this crusade to destroy her. And yes, for Tracy's faults, she is she, she isn't perfect. She's unethical. She really wants to go places, but him setting out to destroy her is a bit much. He didn't rub me too wrong away. Like back when I first watched this movie, I was like, oh, okay, he's a loser. Like he just, but watching it this time around, I was like, oh my God, you are an awful human being.
I agree with you, but at the same time, I don't think he started out on a mission to destroy her life.
No.
She is one of those obnoxious people that you're just like, I can't deal with you, just fuck off. Like, he wants her just to go away.
He's a man-child because he just couldn't walk away. Like, just leave her alone. Like, she's gonna graduate and go away. It's inherent. Like, that's why I was just kind of like, dude, simmer down, go away, and she will eventually go away to do her own thing, and you won't have to, like, slowly descent into, like,
anarchy,
your marriage, and
which was all his fault. Like, I don't feel sorry for him for any of that, because he just, throughout the movie, he just makes bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, no matter where he was going, right? And that was one of the problems with his character, is just like, it's like you aren't a good person, and you also, there you are teaching civics and talking about morals and ethics, and you may understand the definition of it, but you don't actually live by any of these things, by the decisions that you made or the wants that you have, even with like his affair and him trying to like just get around it and all this kind of stuff. And you're just like, no, you're doing bad things. You deserve not a bad outcome to your life.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I would agree with the fact that, like, I don't think anybody in this movie is a good person. But then I guess, who defines what a good person is? I don't know. But
well, and I think that's one of the questions about the movie, where when they do bring up the idea of morals and ethics at the beginning, it's just to be like, here's a bunch of people. They're doing what they believe they need to do for themselves. Mm-hmm. And you can judge them by morals or ethics. Like, is what they're doing ethical, or is, what they're doing moral? Are these against their morality? Is, and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. And it's
interesting. I mean, that's the question.
Yeah. And it is. So everyone has a different, like, ethical moral code. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are obviously some things that are right and wrong. I think that's established by the law. At least that's what we talk about in my profession. But everyone kind of has a different ethical code. And it's very interesting to see how different people kind of slide backwards and forwards, and what they justify, how they justify their actions. And I find that very interesting.
Well, and that's the biggest case of that is Tracy Flick, where she's like, no, I know all the rules in the rule book, but I also deserve this no matter what. So I'm going to do anything necessary. And unless you can prove I've done something wrong, then there's nothing wrong has been done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and this is my problem with a character like Tracy Flick, where she's just like, I want to follow the rules. I want to make things good out there for people. I believe in democracy. But the thing is, when a democratic system actually comes into place, like, she has competition, her first idea is to be absolutely angry and try to destroy the other person, instead of being like, you know what, it's democracy. I'm going to accept some competition because that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. I'm going to present myself as good as possible. And then the outcome is the outcome, where she actively is like, no, I'm going to destroy whoever. This is bullshit, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And I do find it interesting, and I'm agreeing with you. I find Tracy's character to be overly aggressive, and she's very polarizing. But I do find it interesting, as we're watching the American elections and we're watching what has happened thus far when it comes to women, female politicians, that America says, and I'm thinking about Hillary in this sense, or AOC and all the people who have come before her, like, America they say on paper, we value people that participate and people that care and women that work hard and women that, refuse to see themselves as a victim, very strong women. And it's interesting to witness that they tell people, they tell little girls, this is what you should aspire. But then when they grow up and they put that into practice, it's like they despise that. They despise that. Oh, she's a bitch. She's bossy. My feelings of Tracy, the character aside, I do find it interesting that, these women who are doing the same things as the male politicians, but they're just put in such a negative light. And as we obviously saw, personal feelings aside on Hillary Clinton in the last election, going after like AOC's lipstick and her clothing. And it's like, and all these, she's a bitch. She's all these things. And it's like, well, in theory, you value all of, she cares and she's strong and powerful, but in actuality, you despise them and you hate them and they're threatening. And so I find that very interesting.
Well, and that's one of the biggest problems in especially politics right now, where women are at a point where they're sick of being sidelined. And it's true. People seem to revere those aspects of men. So like being ambitious, being confident, being straightforward as being good, positive things in men. But as soon as a woman does that, she's a bitch and she's horrible. She needs to get out of the way, stop being hysterical, stop being so angry all the time. Mm-hmm. Like it's seen in such an opposite light. And I think if we had seen Tracy Flick outside of this movie and on the outside of everything, like with at the end of the film where there's like articles about this sweet little high school girl who was just put down by a teacher, I think that's how we would all feel. Be like, why would you do this to this girl? There's nothing wrong with her. She's perfectly nice. She did what she had to do to win. So she was ambitious. She went for it. She put in the work. She did all of the things to get the job. But unfortunately for women, that's seen as a bad thing. But that's one of my biggest problems. Like, despite liking the overall movie, this is one of my biggest problems with this movie is that it vilifies the only person who is that into what they're doing is the girl. And she's the person who's vilified first. And she's vilified through the whole movie, despite all of these characters around her being horrible people, right? Yeah. So you've got the cheating teacher, you've got Mr. McAllister, you've got the neighbor's wife, you've got her, like Tracy's mother, you've got the principal, like they're all just assholes around her as well. But she is the one who ends up being vilified in general. And then you have, of course, Chris Klein's sister, who's just a horny lesbian teenage girl who refuses to admit it and wants to go to an all-girls school. Yeah. And you're just like, why does she have to be such a raging bitch? Like it's and frustrating.
And I'm actually quite curious, and I think I might read it, the book, and how it's portrayed and what they changed in the movie. And because I'm assuming it was the director's, like, what he wanted to do was to make her a bit unlikable. She's unlikable. She's the person that you had in class that always put their hand up and never let you answer, and the teachers are like exasperated by because they just won't allow anybody else to show that they have intelligence. Everyone already knows she's intelligent, or and so I'm assuming that was on purpose. But yeah, you can't help but be like, as a woman, I want her to go far, but then it's like, oh damn, she's so dislikable. I feel bad because she does have,
Well, because the thing is, it's like, I don't mind if they made her the wannabe teacher's pet who knows all the things and puts up her hand all the time. The things that make her actually unlikable is, the part where Chris Klein's like, I'm gonna be running for president too. And instead of going, oh cool, I have competition, let's do this. She's just like, how dare you, and who put you up to this, blah, blah, blah. You get everything that you want. And then she goes home and she's just like, I'm better than everybody and I got to do my thing and I got to do this. And then it's just like, and then the ripping down the posters and blaming it on everybody else. And
that was very...
Yeah. So it shows that she's a very unethical individual. Whereas if she was just that classroom go-getter who knew the stuff and did the hard work, you would find her obnoxious, but you wouldn't hate her by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas this movie, you're just like, I hate her. Like, she doesn't deserve where she is. Even though McAllister, what he did to get her not to be president was also unethical, you know, that gave her a leg up to move forward. But like, they made her so gross that you're just like, I can't be for this character in any way.
Yeah, because if she wasn't, I guess, so gross, then you wouldn't be like, I don't know, there was nobody actually I was rooting for.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Other than Paul being sweet, he's also a privileged white man who's going to have no problems, and he's good looking and all that kind of stuff. There's really nobody in this movie I'm like, oh, good for you. Like, I hope it turns out well. And actually we see at the end scene when she's working for, is it a senator or senator? And I mean, shocker, she's a Republican. I'm shocked. Could have called that. But, and, you know, he's working at the museum, and I'm just like, yeah, you kind of ruined your own life. And yet she stepped on all these people and has still risen to where she wants to be. And we'll assume that she continues on in her quest for power.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she has a vision, and she has a want, and she's working towards that want, but how she works towards it, that's the things that are in question, because you've seen behind the curtain, right? And even the part where she's like sobbing and overly crying at the end, and her mom's just for losing a high school election or whatever. I mean, imagine if she lost, you know, like she actually lost. Like, imagine if she actually lost. And it wasn't anybody, you know, trying to trick anything. It wasn't anybody doing anything wrong. She actually just lost. Imagine what that last year of school would have been like with her. It would have been torture for everybody. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, she would do everything to go against the student government, to make everything just not worthwhile. She might even switch schools or something just to get another chance to become student president somewhere else. And I think that kind of person is gross. And that's the kind of person who also doesn't understand the rules, doesn't understand democracy, doesn't understand what she's running for, if that's the kind of attitude she's going to have if she loses.
She doesn't play well with others, and she's quite petty. I mean, that's very clear. She has no one really keeping her accountable for her actions. Like, no friend that's staying there going like, what are you doing? Like, you can still care about something, but understand that it's not the end all be all if you lose this. You're still going to go on and do great things and still go on to university and graduate. And politics are still there for you, whether you win your high school election or not. Like, it does go to show that, like, it's very interesting when they put you in that headspace of being in high school, and like, everything at that time is so important. Oh my God, everything is just so heightened because of like hormones, and you know, it's very interesting watching it, just being like, okay, it's just a high school election. Like, no one,
just relax, it's fine.
No one will care. Like, nobody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it also goes back to when you actually finally see how the mother is as well. Because when she loses and the mother comes in and says, what'd she say? Oh, maybe you didn't have enough posters. Maybe you should have listened to me about your speech. You know, and she's like, all of the blame is being put on her instead of being like, oh, well, maybe we can try something else next time. Or, you know, you'll win other races, you'll win other elections, all this kind of stuff. Her mother just sat there blaming her and then gave her drugs. And I was like, that's also very harmful to the psyche.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, I mean, she is who she is because of being raised by that woman, right? Like, it's very apparent, and it's, you know, because as the adult, you're supposed to, you know, support someone and kind of also keep the context of like, it's just high school. Like, you have all these other clubs you're a part of. She's a part of like the yearbook and all this other stuff and all these awards she got. It's like, yes, this was important to you, but there will be other things, and you have other things already. Like, you trust me, if you want this for university, you're going to get, I don't think anybody's doubting she's going to go to university, right? Like she doesn't need this to do that. This isn't like her only thing. So yeah, that woman is also horrible. And
unhelpful.
That also reflects upon how Tracy acts. And you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Putting all the pressure on her daughter for more and more and more and better. It's like, you're creating a monster or created.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with instilling ambition in your child, but you can't, blame them if they don't get everything right away.
Well, yeah, and also it's like, it's important to also, it's like the real world doesn't work like that. You don't get everything.
Yeah, you can work as hard as you want to. That doesn't mean you're going to get what you're looking for.
Exactly. That's actually a very great lesson. It's better to learn it earlier in life. Like, it's like, oh, you might try your hardest and do your best, and it might not be good enough, and that's okay. Like, that's, there's next time. There's
and the lesson to that would be, you're going to lose some things, but the whole point is don't give up. Lose here, you got somewhere else to go. It's fine. Like, but if you're the first time you lose something, you're 45 years old and you fall apart because you've lost something. And it could be something small. It could be like, I've lost my $20 and I can never find it again. And you crawl into a corner and cry and sob and weep and can't talk to anybody for 3 days and all this kind of stuff. Then you're just like, what did you learn when you were younger? Like, what is this? Like, what are you doing?
This is why sometimes when I think about, and I think we're getting past it, the helicopter parent.
Oh, yes.
Because you're shielding, they tend to shield their children from hurt and pain and loss and things that we all have to experience, whether it's just a breakup of a friendship when you're 6, and it might seem ridiculous, but how that child learns to handle that is important for future. Mm-hmm. And when helicopter parents kind of protect their kids from all of this and not teach them how to be self-reliant and how to, solve problems and go about this and how to heal a wounded heart and all that kind of stuff. Early on in life, it reflects, people who don't handle that well as adults.
Yeah, that's when you get like public tantrums by 45-year-olds and you're just like, what are you doing? No, I told you no.
The President of the United States.
Oh my God.
He goes on a Twitter tantrum and you're just like, are you 5?
Yeah.
You're the kid that's whipping Legos across the room and stomping your feet because you didn't get your way or someone, told you're an idiot. It's like you're witnessing it on a grand scale, which is unfortunate. And politics.
So very true.
It is true. I've actually I've stopped right now ingesting that American politics for the time. As we get closer to November, I'm sure I'll look back into it, but it was stressing me out. So
oh, it's still stressing me out. Well, the thing is trying to not consume it is so much more work than just letting it wash all over you and destroy your soul. I must admit.
It is true. Google gives me articles and I'm just like,
Well, I mean, like, it doesn't matter. I turn on the TV, I pick up my phone, I get push notifications, I get stuff on Twitter, I'm scrolling through Instagram, things pop up, and you're just like, yeah, sure, whatever, fine, okay. Like, it's just there.
Well, it's there 24/7. It is mentally exhausting, especially during the last 6 months that we've had. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very interesting that there's no off button sometimes, unless you go to great lengths to not listen to the radio, don't turn the TV on, don't look at any articles, just live in your little bubble, which you could do, but then you can't really consume anything.
Well, and that's the good thing and the bad thing about our connected society, right? Is you have all of the things, you can be by yourself, but be with other people. But at the same time, you can never be by yourself because all of this stuff is around you. All of this stuff is invading your space, whether you want it to or not, and it's hard to control. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, I really do think this is a perfect allegory for what's going on right now.
Oh, absolutely.
In general, a bunch of assholes doing asshole things to become president of something that, I mean, on the scale of a country, it does freaking matter, but you know, destroying everything you are and who other people are just to get whatever you feel like is never a right way to get to somewhere.
Nope. Yeah. Nope.
And I think that's a lesson that most people do not understand, do not get. They're like, this is the thing I want. I'm gonna do it no matter what.
Mm-hmm. And not think of the consequences. Not necessarily for yourself, but for other people, especially on that grand scale, right? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. But the thing about this movie too, it's just like, it's about selfish decision making, you know, mm-hmm. like Mr. McAllister, for example, he just keeps thinking about himself. Yeah. Then, you know, he's like, no, I want all of the things. Sure, I like my wife. Our life's really boring, but I like my wife. We want to have a kid. I'll pretend I'm having sex with other people instead. And then as soon as the opportunity comes up, has sex with somebody else. And you're just like, what are you doing? Yeah. Why? This is a clear decision that you have made because he's made comments about it before. It's something he wanted to do. And he thought about himself. He didn't think about the implications for the rest of his life. He didn't think about how it would hurt his wife. He didn't think about how it would affect the friend or anything, right? And it was just like selfish decisions. But even the part where he's throw out the extra ballots, he's thinking about himself. He's like, I don't want her to win. Therefore, this has to be an example of something. But if you're going to do something that you have to do it, I'm not advocating to do this, but you have to do it right. And since he did something so blatantly stupid, of course he got caught. Of course he realized it was dumb because he's making a bunch of selfish decisions without thinking about consequences or anything. Even at the end where he like throws the cup at the limo driving away, he's all he does is let himself be angry, but doesn't think about what if that car stops. That is a government vehicle. He could get arrested. He, you know, all that kind of things. He's just making these like crazy decisions that will can affect him in great, great ways without, you know, thought. Yeah.
Because this one person just, let's say, grinds his gears. I don't know. You know, one girl just makes him pissed. And it's like, yes, all the decisions he made, which were very poor. And it's like, you're just ruining your own life. Like, you know, and just because you hate this teenage girl so much. And it's just so like, also petty. Like, it's just like, dude, like
she's a child.
Yeah. Leave her alone. She's going to graduate in 2 years. I don't know if she was in grade 10 or 11 or whatever she was. 11.
I think the presidency was in her last year. So yeah.
Yeah, so it would have been the tail end of grade 11, and she would have went into whatever they call it, sophomore,
senior year, whatever, I don't know. Yeah, but I was just like, you got to be kidding, like, seriously. And I love the fact that he still blames her for everything that's went wrong with his life, but I'm like, you did it to yourself.
Yeah. Man-child can't take responsibility for his own actions, constantly blaming other people, and you chose to do that. Yes, you can justify your action. Oh, I hate it, but I couldn't handle it. It's like, well, no, you're still just blaming another person for the dumb actions you took. You're a man-child. Like, you are, you know, an 8-year-old that can't accept, you know, did something, and there are consequences. And it's like, you idiot.
Yeah. But that was like the best friend too. I'm like, you actively sought after this girl, then you got caught for doing it. You did something really stupid, and then he sat there in the principal's office crying like a 5-year-old, you know, who got yelled at and is going to get put in a corner. No, you're an adult. You're lucky you weren't put in jail because she was underage and stuff, and you just lost your job and had to move out of town. So he was very lucky. He got off easy.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think his friend did too. Like, I don't think his friend didn't go to jail. Did he? No.
Nope.
Like, really? Like, like, it's just, so let's just blame other people and cry. Like, that's going to make everything better. you know, yeah, he did get off easy, actually. Very much so.
They all did. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and she's working with a politician, and he is a tour guide or whatever he was in the museum.
Yeah. And we don't know what happened to the other dude. We don't really care.
No.
The wife got to keep his money in his house, so that's fine too.
Good. Yeah. It's not her fault that your relationship was boring. You're boring.
Yeah, if you did something to not make it boring, that's one of the things that I don't understand. Is like, our relationship is boring. Did you try to make it not boring?
Yeah.
No.
There are things you could be spontaneous. You could have an adult conversation, see like what the other person wants to do, whether it's just like actual activities or sexual. Like, there are things you can do where like it's like you go to work every day, work out, shower at work, and then work all day and then come home. It's like you're boring. And so
but when he's having an affair, he can take time from his class, go set up a hotel room with flowers and champagne and stuff, and then go back. But you never thought about doing that maybe for your wife?
Right. Like, if you were like, you could have even been like kind of faked an affair with your own wife, right? There are things you can do, like, you know, let's meet in a hotel, let's pretend we're like, there are things you can do. You don't have to get that kinky, but like,
just, you know, it's all about just trying. And I think that's one of the biggest problems, and why I think he deserves everything that came to him. Like, you didn't try, you went quote unquote the easy route, with just finding somebody else to sneak around with. Like, it's stupid.
He's also just a regular white-ass male who slid into being a teacher. How long was he a teacher for? Like 12 years? Like,
something, yeah.
I don't think he's that ambitious. And actually, I wonder if that's like also deep down why he just hates Tracy so much, like, other than her unethical, whatever, the stuff with the best friend. But I just think that watching this very young, very intelligent go-getter who is, you know, wants all these things and has aspirations, and you're just, not that there's any like fantastic teachers are wonderful, but like, you've been doing the same thing for 12 years with your boring wife or whatever, not really her fault, but the relationship, and it's like, you aren't doing anything to change that, and then when you do stuff, they're dumb and you ruin your life. So it's
because it even shows like he didn't have any outside of school things that he did, except for, you know, play the guitar with the guy who got kicked out. I keep forgetting what his name is. But like, I'm like, but you didn't do anything to fill out the rest of your life. It's fine that you enjoy going to school, you enjoy teaching, you enjoy your students. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But there's a whole bunch of time where you're not in school, and if you're not doing anything, of course your life's going to feel empty or unfulfilled or something. You have to have something you want to do.
Right. Yeah. Even if you're content in your career aspirations, there's other things you can do, and you don't have to be all petty about some 16-year-old like who's going above and beyond. And then I hate both of the main characters.
I do.
They're
entertaining.
I was very entertained by it, but I was like, neither of you are. I like neither of you.
Yeah, so. Yeah. The rivalry was great. Entertainment. But so let me bring this up though. One of the reasons why I think he also hates Tracy Flick so much and was like so vengeful against her was, you know, the part where she brings him the signatures of the car.
Yeah.
And it's not just that she's like, I want to go home. Why are you talking to me? Whatever. I don't care. I think it has to do with the part where she's like, you know, if I become president, we're going to have to spend lots of time together and blah, blah, blah. And I think it shows that she was also trying to use her sexuality to get something. And it made him feel that maybe she wasn't the one being seduced, but it was the other way around. And I think that was the reason why he was all of a sudden like, oh my God, you got my friend fired. Sure, he was stupid, but you still got my friend fired. This is your fault. Yeah. And now you're trying to do that to me. And I think that clicked something in his head. But at the same time, I think she got that because the other teacher kind of like, I don't think she has that sexuality to get things.
Yeah, well, because the other teacher was like, oh, you're so pretty, you're so smart, you have no friends. Like, he was grooming her. And
Yeah.
I think after that experience, she realized, like, oh, so there's this part of me, this sexuality, I can use it. And so he just sees it as her getting his friend fired, except his friend did something illegal and got himself fired. Mm-hmm. And luckily didn't end up in prison. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he saw this one side. He wasn't obviously there. It was just like Tracy and the other dude. I don't know. So I guess he's just assuming like, oh, she's some predator, like some 16-year-old girl setting out to destroy all of these teachers. And, you know, I do think she was using her sexuality with Mr. M. I think because she learned that after that experience with the first teacher, mm-hmm. and he preyed upon her. So it's very interesting. We see that, but yeah, the teacher, Mr. McAllister, Mr. M, he doesn't see that. He just sees an enemy.
Yes, an enemy to destroy.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not very good at it, so.
Yeah. But, you know, going through this movie too, I realized a couple of things I forgot as well. So first was student democracy and all that kind of stuff, and student council. The second thing was when he left and he gave that pop quiz and he's like, I got 48 minutes. I was like, our classes were 48 minutes? That can't be right. They seemed like they were forever, like in every single class.
Were they 50 minutes? Were they longer?
See, that's the thing. Like, to me, like, my recollection of high school is sitting in classes and shit just like droning on for like 3 hours at a time before I can go somewhere else.
I'm pretty sure my school was like an hour and a half. Like, I think we were longer. We were longer than an hour.
Yeah. We had I think we had 5 or 6 periods a day. And our day was between like 8 and 3, I think. So yeah, it would be around an hour or 15 minutes because you had to have that break in between class to go to your locker and then get to your class and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe I just forget that. It's interesting when time goes by and you get older because I think it's been 15 years since I graduated high school. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think this August was supposed to be my 15. There was supposed to be a reunion. Mm-hmm. I just made a face. Like, what? 15 years? No, I don't need that.
Crazy. Yeah.
My sister-in-law, who I went to high school, she's like, are you going to join the face group reunion thing? And I was like, this was right before COVID. And then COVID happened. I was like, oh, shucks.
Oh, no. I can't go.
Like, I don't know anybody from high school except her. I actually don't have so it's like I'm cool, like I'm good, like I've got my own life now, but yeah, it's been 15 years. It's interesting the things you forget from high school. You're just like the everyday monotony. It's like I remember certain things, but yeah, I don't remember the class structure. I don't even barely remember the classes I took. It just goes to show how important high school is. You're just like, the minute I left and went to college, it was a whole different story. And I was like, bye.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I find when I went to university and stuff, I was like, all of my high school teachers lied to me because this is fucking bullshit. I didn't have to be on time. I didn't have to wear a uniform. I didn't have to call teachers sir. It was like, Steve, can you explain this? Whatever. It didn't matter. They were like, it's not even that they were your peers. It was just like, no, you're an adult. You can take care of yourself. These are schedules. If you show up, you show up. If you don't, you don't. That is your problem. Do what you need to do.
You're paying to be there. If you don't want to show up and waste your money, they don't care. Except I had one teacher. He was 89 years old at Western. Yeah. And he was pissed because he'd be like, oh, I'm taking your money. You're wasting my time. And he would ring you out. He barely could walk. He was a genius. Like, the man was phenomenal. He's a criminologist. I'm sure, God rest his soul, because there's no way he's still alive.
Yeah.
Could be. No, probably not. But anyway, he still used an old school projector. All of his things were handwritten. He put it up. But he was there for the most fascinating man. The studies he used to do in prisons and stuff. But that was the only professor who gave a shit. And he would whip a pencil at your face if you fell asleep. And he's like, no, you can drop the class. He's like, you either come to my class or you drop my class. I don't accept anything less. And if you had a reason not to be there, you had to tell him like he wanted to know privately, like there must be a good reason why you're not here. And but because he was just, he didn't give a shit. Like he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So
no,
but you're right. Like you're right. High school. Like I still remember the guidance counselor, and I still remember them saying. So when you go to the guidance counselor, you talk about the future and what you want to do, and they try and help you apply for school. And I remember them saying to me, and I kind of wanted to take a year. I was also very young. I graduated high school at 17. Like I was a year younger than everyone else because I'm such a like late baby in the year. And so I just thought, I was like, oh my God, I'm young. I'm 17. Like I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what even field I want to study. Like I have no idea. And I remember the woman having now that I think about it, having the audacity to tell me, if you don't go to school right away, you're never going to go. Who fucking tells a 17? I might have been 16 at this point, but like just pick something was essentially her thing. And I'm like, so I'm going to waste my money. And I did. I picked something. I went. I graduated. Guess what? I ended up going back to school because I was like, I don't want to do this. Like it was a waste of money. And, obviously I took something from that schooling, but I now realize as an adult with quotation marks, I still don't feel like an adult. No. It's like the pressure they put on like 17 and 18-year-olds to be like, no, you're going to be nothing if you don't do it. It's like, you're barely an adult yourself. If I think back, the guidance counselor is probably in her 30s. Like I now look at people and I'm like, you have no idea what you're doing. I doubt any of my teachers and anybody at that school knew shit. Like,
well, yeah, I think about it too now, and like some of my teachers were probably the age I am now, and I'm like, I know how I feel. I know what my attitude is. You were trying to give us life lessons, and you were full of shit.
Yes.
I know this now. You were full of shit. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. So I don't know. Like,
it's that same realization when you grow up and you realize, my parents have no idea what they're doing. Because I have friends with kids and or my siblings, and I'm just like, it's just a shit show. You guys are just doing your best, doing what you're doing, but you don't have all the answers. You don't know everything. And
most of the time they're alive, they're clean. Did they say thank you when you gave them something? They're fine. It's good. Yeah. That's all we need. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, so
exactly. There's this weird myth in high school that teachers, remember when did you ever see one outside of school and you were like, they're a real person?
Yeah, it was weird. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yeah, because they goes at the grocery store. They need food too.
They only exist in this one place and they have to stay there or else it's very confusing to the rest of us. You don't like it.
And now I realize my geography teacher was 26 years old, and I was just now I think back and I'm like, oh my God. Of course they were living their lives. So funny. Yeah. That's high school.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, you all of those 90-year-old teachers were once the fresh-faced 26-year-old out of school, grad school, going to teach their first class at some point in time, And you're just like, ugh, I wouldn't have wanted to teach children at 26. That's just crazy.
No, I know a few teachers, and I'm like, good for you. I don't have the patience.
Mm-hmm. I can barely put up with one kid, let alone a classroom full of them, because even I go visit my cousin, she's got 4 kids and they're running circles around me. And I'm just like, I don't know how you do this. She's like, it's fine. I was like, I don't even know what that means. I don't know. I don't know if you know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what's going on, but your kid's a foot deep in mud right now. And she's like, yeah, he's fine. It's fine.
Bleeding. He's not bleeding. It's fine. I know I have 3 nephews, and sometimes they're scaling the wall, and I'm just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Don't hit your head, please. No blood.
Every once in a while, I'm like, they can do that. And she's like, yeah, it's cool. Or can they do that? Get the fuck down.
Yeah, exactly. They have that. I guess maybe it's the parent sense. They know their kid. If you fall, you're gonna break something.
Yeah.
So.
Or it's they all of a sudden they're not even paying attention to the kid, but they also whip around and they're like, "What did I say?" How did you know?
They just
what?
It's like my sister-in-law turns to me and goes, "It's silent." She'll just look at me like, and then we find out like it's usually like the one kid's under the table and the other has an iPad, but you're just like, okay, it's silent. You're up to something. It's how I feel about my dog. If he's not sleeping next to me and it's silent, I'm like, he's doing something in the kitchen or another room.
There's something not right.
Yeah, I can feel it. Spidey tingle. You're like, well, just don't break.
I think I don't get it because I lack all responsibility. It's great.
My brother walked outside to the front porch. They have like a seating area on their front porch, like with couches, outside couches and stuff. And he comes outside and both my nephews are sitting there and there's a skunk walking up the steps towards my nephews. And my brother just goes like, he just starts screaming. Both kids just look at him like, what's wrong, Dad? And he's like, are you kidding me? We're not getting sprayed today. And he just like grabs the kid. And I'm just like, oh my God, like just shit the kids get into. It's like, no, skunks are bad. Like, don't touch the wildlife. Don't let them close to you. Like, I'm sure my nephew was trying to feed it. Like,
or pet it or something, right? Yeah. It's that
cat. Like, no, don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
It's that childish, like, curiosity and nothing will happen to me mentality, you know? It's like, I see something I want to do. I want to pet the skunk. I know it's a skunk. But, you know, today maybe it'll like me. Let's give this a shot. You know? Like, that's just all it is.
Well, I saw it, like, a couple weeks later. I was sitting on their porch just visiting. And it, like, walked across the yard. Is the biggest freaking skunk. I bet, like, 8 feet. My brother's like, yeah, that's the skunk. He's like, I think it lives in the backyard. And it comes out just like the way it moved, like dun 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 dun. And I was just like, oh my God. And it was really like white. I don't know. It's not the little ones I see in Toronto. Like when I walk the dog at night, it was massive. I was like, that is a big. He's like, yep, that's what they were trying to like pet. And I was like, oh God, no.
God.
Like, they were trying to give it a chicken bone or something. Like,
Oh,
boys.
geez.
I don't know.
Oh, boys. Indeed. So, you know, high school and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the election was a really good, it was a good movie. It was good.
Yeah. Like I said, it holds up really well. And I think it's such like a perfect parallel to what's going on right now that you're just like, I find this a much more entertaining thing than turning on my TV. Yay.
I'll take Reese Witherspoon.
And Matthew Broderick any day. Yeah, so true.
Okay.
But also it teaches you one vote does matter. So go out and vote, kids. Go out and vote.
Vote and vote local too. Go, especially in the States. Local matters. So vote at any opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that puts us on to Equilibrium.
Yeah.
The 2002 pseudo wannabe weird matrixy Vulcan thing. That's now that I watch it, despite still enjoying watching it.
Oh, Cheese Fest. I love it.
Oh, cheesy. It's so cheesy.
It's like a movie you would see on like TBS or something. You'd catch it at 2 p.m. and you're just like, this is kind of amazing, kind of awful. Kind of amazing. And like, it's actually one of the movies I've watched related to your podcast that I actually own a physical copy of.
Woohoo! Yes.
Yeah. I don't own a lot. I own like 20 films and that's one of them.
Yay.
Yeah.
Did you actually physically watch your DVD too?
No. It's on Prime.
Oh.
I just streamed Election and then I did Equilibrium first, but yeah, I just like, it's actually at my parents' house, but, cause it's in my like home bedroom, but yeah, so I actually own it. So that's fun. I don't use physical movies anymore. And you have a lot of movies, but I have like 20. So I just
well, I mean, I started this just to be able to have an excuse to watch my physical movies. So I'm going to
have to, because you forget you have them or, you know, they just become part of your decor and it's good to go through.
Well, and one of my things is that even though I own the movies, there's something, I'm one of these people who I pay for cable. I like TV. I enjoy advertisements. I don't understand what people's problems is. Anyways, it's like advertisements are like paying taxes. Sure, it's annoying, but overall, it pays for all the shit that you need, right? Yeah. So fine. I put up with it.
You know what I do miss about cable?
What?
I miss like HGTV and Gusto and those channels, like Discovery. Like when I go to my parents, my dad watches like Gusto and like HGTV. I miss those channels. I do because
They're great.
I don't watch that stuff because it's like not advertised much. I know there's stuff on Netflix that they do shows, but it's not the same as turning it on and seeing, you know, Ina Gardner like make herself a mocktail at like 9 a.m.
Yeah, and they're great.
It's great. But anyway, my dad loves like all the ladies on the cooking channel.
Yeah. But I must admit, there's something just like better about flipping through channels and coming across something that you may own, but you'd never like physically put in the DVD or look it up, and it's just there and you watch it and you're just like, this is a good afternoon. I like this. I don't know.
No, and that's what I think Equilibrium is. I don't think it's for everybody. I do recommend. My mom, I told her about watching it, and she'd be like, "Oh, I should look it up." I was like, "No, you're gonna hate it. Don't."
Yeah.
Like, don't. My mom doesn't even like The Matrix. She doesn't like that doesn't like superhero movies, none of that. And I was like, you're gonna hate it because it's like, kind of like 1984 with guns, or like, you know, a knockoff Matrix.
Yeah.
Or The Giver, but just loud. Yeah. Like, that was one of my, like, I love The Giver. That was a good book.
I have not watched it or read the book, so I heard very bad things about the movie.
I don't think I ever watched it. So when I was in university, that's when I first read the book, and it was for school. Mm-hmm. I took a children's lit course, and that's when I first The Giver. And it's not a very big book, and I don't think I've watched the movie, so I can't.
I think the movie only came out a couple years ago.
Yeah,
2014.
Yeah, no, I don't. That would have been after I graduated school, so I don't think I've seen it. So. Mm-hmm.
But it has like a surprising, like it's got Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep and some guy named Brenton Thwaites. I don't know who that guy is. But just the fact that it has Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep makes me think I should watch it. Ooh, and Alexander Skarsgård and Katie Holmes.
Oh.
But I have never heard a good thing about this movie.
What's the rating? Do you see the...
It says 6.5 out of 10.
The rating on this one, Equilibrium, is like 7.2 or 7.0 or something. Yeah. It was higher than I thought, but depends on where you're looking. Like Rotten Tomatoes, it's like lower because obviously like critics aren't going to like it.
Get in there.
But IMDb had a surprising, I thought
7.4, Because it's a crowd-pleasing movie.
People love Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I mean, this was before Batman, and that man's jacked in this movie.
Yes. Like he's solidly fit. But they all are, though. Because, I'm sorry, I have to say that Taye Diggs looks like a delicious piece of chocolate in his, like, little suit there. He's a dick. Like, he's a dick throughout the whole movie. But every time he's on screen, I'm just like, Yeah. Okay. And then he says words, and I'm like, fuck that guy. You know?
Do you think Taye Diggs was, like, whatever the character's name, I don't remember, do you think he was feeling the whole time?
Yes, I do. Well, this is one of my notes for this movie.
Cockily a lot. Like, he was super cocky. And I was like, you're a bit too, because even when they're muting their feelings, I assume some of it gets through, especially when you have the elite, I forget what don't quote me on the names of them, but like Christian Bale's position. You have
he's a grammaton cleric.
Grammaton cleric, thank you, cleric. I mean, okay. It's like I've seen this movie actually like 12 times, and I can't tell you the positions. Anyway, I know father. But anyway, there has to be some, like, you have to have some drive. You have to have some feeling. I know it's got to be muted, but some has to get through.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought Taye Diggs was way too cocky. So I was like, even though it wasn't confirmed, I could only assume, since he seemed the right-hand man of the other, not the father, but the father, like the guy behind the image of the father.
Yeah.
And he was obviously feeling as well. So,
so one of my earliest notes about this movie is one thing I never understood when they have stories or films where emotion is supposed to be removed. There's always still this idea of ambition, right? And it's true. Like, you always have these movies that are just like, remove human emotion and society will be better. But you still have a whole bunch of people who want power and people who are ambitious or is working towards something. I'm like, but that's closely related to pride. And pride is one of the biggest emotions that start wars and all that kind of stuff.
Ego.
And ego. Yeah. And you're just like, so why is ambition okay? But, loving someone is bad. Like that, it just doesn't make sense. Or, owning a pretty picture is bad. Like, I think it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh no. Like, I mean, dystopian futures in books and movies, like they're always just a bit, you're like, like, let's mute most feelings, but just keep a few. And I don't know if the drug was supposed to work that way or just, I don't know, because clearly people were assigned jobs. It's similar to The Giver, and that said, you're assigned, you are bred probably for this purpose. He has a superior physique, so he's meant to be a cleric given that position, but he clearly moved up the ranks. So does the drug allow for a little like of those certain like ambition and the pride and the ego? Does it allow for a bit of that, or those feelings can be, I don't know. Like, I don't, they don't really, I can appreciate this is one-off movie, didn't need more, but they don't really explain, like, okay, emotion's bad. People start wars because emotion is messy. Love is messy, all that bullshit. Yet there are certain feelings that get through because they have to, because these clerics, and I don't know the other jobs, I assume there's every type of job. Yeah. But it's like people move up and they move. So I don't understand how that works. And I don't think I need to understand, but still, I'm just quite curious. Like, okay.
Well, and that's the thing about this, that the movie didn't stick enough with its initial premise. So it made those things confusing, right? They're like, no, people are taking drugs to mute their emotions, but you have people who clearly exhibit fear, like even like grammatons and all that kind of stuff, because there are certain points where, they come around a corner and they're like, oh my God, don't shoot. But that's fear for your life. That's a very big emotion. You shouldn't feel fear. You shouldn't you shouldn't be like pride and ambition. You shouldn't feel cocky. You shouldn't be like smirking every 5 minutes, because those are all things that are directly related to big emotions. But one of the first things the movie said was, we got rid of emotions so you wouldn't have wars. And I'm like, but you have everything in there that allows for war to happen, because there's still clearly lots of emotions happening.
Well, right. That's what it's like, okay. And also, even up until, so he was taking his injection. Yeah. He was clearly still feel like there were moments, like even when they came to take his wife, and he went into protective mode, even though he knew those were the government authorities. He is those people. I mean, obviously he's a higher rank, but he immediately goes to protect her. And you're like, okay, so deep down he has to care for her. It's there, because then why would he go in protect mode when this is the government he's supposed to trust and have no emotion? Why would he care what happens to her? Yeah. But yet they're in like a family unit. So it's this weird, like, okay, they're all not feeling, but yet, and I know the kids traditionally just call him by his name and stuff like that. Obviously we see the kids say dad, and then that's when you kind of realize this kid's not taking his injection either. Probably because the mom stopped them, probably because she stopped taking hers and started to love her children. But I just can't help that, like, you have to have some inherent caring for your family unit, or why would you even care for these kids? I guess maybe because the government told you. I don't know. It just
like you're doing your job at that point, right? Yeah.
I guess, but just it was very interesting when he went to protect and fight for his wife, and I'm just like, there has to, like, this drug dampens feelings, but it can't get rid of all of them, because as we've seen, pride and all that comes through, and a bit of fear and a bit of, so there has to be deep down, he has to have feelings for her.
Well, even before that happened, he was standing there just staring at her going about her day. And that is not, for a person who is not feeling anything, that's not like a logical thing for them to do. They'd be like, my task for the day is these 12 things, and this is the things I'm going to do, whether she's there or not. But he stands there staring at her as she does this delicate thing, is picking up her kids' clothes because they're folded and the hair is falling from her face and the blah, blah, blah. And like, I think him attacking the agent that come in was more of a reflex than an emotional based thing. Like someone, it's like a guard dog, right? Like,
yeah,
comes into my space, if I'm not sure who it is at first, so automatically I'm going to attack, right? And that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very clear after when he's like, we've done this lawfully, blah, blah, blah. And he has this look of just like, oh my God, on his face when he looks at her. It's very clear, like, there's something in him as well.
Yeah.
So
that's fighting against the drugs, or the drugs only dampen it, and it's there, right? Like inherently the drugs have to work like antidepressants or something, like it has to be in that sense, like it deals with the brain. It has to.
It more dulls them than
no, for sure, but it's got to be in that similar, like whatever it's called. I want to call it Prolia, but that's a bone injection. I forget what it's called. I didn't write down. Whatever injection.
Is that like Prozac? No, not Prozac.
Well, no, it's similar to that though. It's got a name and you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like in that sense where instead of like boosting your mood, it's dampening all feeling, which is like is impossible. So but dystopian.
Yeah, dystopian futures, But the thing is too is like their dystopian future. A lot of it doesn't make any sense because structurally, even like their architecture of their city is too pretty for them to not have emotion. If you understand what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Like it's clearly art that they've built in these structures. It's not form following function. It is, it's an aesthetic that they put together specifically, or else every space would just be a tiny square. Like you don't need more than 4 feet above your head, and you need this space. That's it. They've got like beautiful columns. They've got like sculptures of like Atlas, with the world on his back. These beautiful like cross-shaped windows and all this kind of stuff. Even though they've apparently eliminated religion as well, it's all of that iconography is still there, and it's still oppressively large upon them. And you're just like, but how do you expect people to lack emotion or to lack feeling? And you keep burning all this stuff that's supposed to be the things that trigger emotion, where you have all of these things that trigger emotion around them, except it's just gray in color instead of, red. Doesn't matter.
I did enjoy the use of shadow, like the way the director shot it. There was some really nice shots. I thought I was like, watching it, actually looking at it and studying it, I was like, there's a few. I actually like the architecture, stuff like that. I was like, okay, I see it. But yes, I get your point. Like there are some stuff you're just like, why do you need this statue? Why is that? That just seems, statues in this totalitarian dystopian, why would you, what's even the point? You have Father's face everywhere. Why do you need these statues?
Yeah.
And these columns and stuff. No, that makes,
And that was my, and that was one of my biggest things, because like you said, there was a really great use of shadow and all that kind of stuff in there, which wouldn't have been possible if they actually stuck by to what this dystopian space should have been like.
Yeah.
And like they did a very good job with it, but at the same time, because of that use of shadow, it made me focus more on the architecture, which made me more think about the lack of emotion, which also pulled away from the original premise of the film again. But even with that said, like you said, it looks nice. Like it looks interesting.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does. It's very gray and shadowy. I appreciate that. I like grays and blacks.
Yeah. But I think it fits in with the story, right? It
really does. Yeah, lack of color, because why do people we wear color because we like it, because it shows our individualism, all that kind of stuff, like style, very proud of that. And so by taking that all away, I can see what they were doing. And in most dystopian futures, they have these weird uniforms that everyone wears, and they're always gray.
Yeah. That's how it's dystopian. If it was colorful, it would probably be utopian. So very different things. Very different.
Oh my God. Yes. I wrote down gun kata.
Gun kata, that's their martial art, yes.
I just love it. It's like gun cut. I was like, oh my God. It's just like, there is that one scene. I did actually quite like it, though. I was like, this is ridiculous. When he enters in the beginning and he goes into the warehouse or the building in the Nethers or wherever they're calling it, and it's like pitch black and he just stands there and all the like rebels or the resistance are like whispering, like, where is he? What is he doing? And all of a sudden it just starts slashing as he does his gun kata. And he does moves that I'm like, I don't, why they do the cross over the chest, behind the back, cross over the chest, over, and I'm just like watching him do it, and I'm just like, this is just so ridiculous. I love it. I love every set. It's so stupid.
Well, because what's cool about it is that they use the flashbang like a strobe light, so the movements seem almost robotic instead of fluid, or like it's animated or something. And then it's true. It's just like it's just really funny, because I would be confused as well. You're like, so we're just gonna stand in the dark in silence?
Where is this man? Like, and then all of a sudden he's like hearing with his pristine hearing. I'm kind of thinking, okay, you move like a robot because you're trained in this way of martial arts / gunfighting. But do you have supersonic hearing? Like, are you that impressive? Like,
he was echolocating or something.
Yeah, no, I know.
Or he's like Daredevil or something. He's just like, I can hear the sound of you breathing.
Yeah, I was like,
I can figure out my angles. Let's go.
Like, I know once the guy started whispering, it's like, okay, you're just giving yourself away. But like, if you're barely breathing, like, how is one dude supposed to take out like 20 guys? I just laughed. I was like, as far as I know, he's not enhanced. It's just really good.
Yeah.
But I just laughed at it. I really thought it was a cool shot. Like, I thought it was cool, but I just laughed. I was like, really? Like.
But they really did open with like the money shot to bring in that audience, though. Like, that is like the proper way to just like get people like hyped for stuff going on. Like, but the funny thing is that like from that point on, there's very little action for a while.
Yeah.
And then the action starts happening again. I don't know why I had never realized how far in between the action sequences actually were. But I found that really cool.
Right, because it's mostly them just investigating, trying to find the
underground.
The stalls, the underground, where the art is, where the horrible wallpaper is.
Right?
I know they have to find what they can find, and they're scrounging, but I'm like, those rooms are hideous. Like, why? What? This is like the worst. Like, I mean, I get they're trying to really hide the Mona Lisa and shit like that, but some of that shit's really ugly. I was like, okay.
But also, why did they have to be like? They had to authenticate the Mona Lisa. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. It's gonna burn anyway.
I guess they know that once they burn the original, no one else can make more copies.
But if there's a copy out there,
I know.
Yeah.
I don't fully understand. I guess it was just kind of like, look, we're destroying the Mona Lisa. Like, ooh.
Like, yeah, that's right.
Like, I don't
care.
Yeah, and you know what I find interesting, and I just thought it's very interesting that his wife and his partner both were feeling whatever term they use.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't know for a long time. And
I remember what it's called. Sense offense.
Sense offender. Thank you. I wonder if deep down he knew, because when you start seeing it, it's pretty obvious when someone starts feeling shit. Like, they're all just like, oh, so soft. Like,
yeah.
You're just like, or he takes his glove off and like touches it. If anyone just looked down, they would be like, why do you care what the metal feels like? Like, right? I just can't believe he lived with this woman and as apparently, and I know the guy pulled him in and was like, how did you not know? And he's like, I ask myself that all the time. Mm. And it's like, you knew. He had to have known deep down. And obviously he started to pick up on his partner. And obviously the looks his partner was giving him were like, oh, that dude is a sense offender. Like, well, we knew that in the first 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But I was just like, how do you have these two people around you? And I assume both of them were sense offending for quite a while. So
the wife for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think going back to what we had mentioned earlier is that deep down, though it's repressed, he had feelings for her, and it was like blocking other things, I suppose. But I think the partner, though, I don't think the partner was sense offending as long as like the wife would have been.
Maybe,
but yeah. Oh no! At one point in time, they said he hasn't brought anything in like for like 2 months or something. So yeah, so I mean that is still quite a while.
But also, who knows how before then he might have still been logging stuff, but like was better at hiding it, maybe, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, I feel and I don't want this stuff being destroyed, logged and destroyed, but I have to do it. But then he just finally got fed up and just stopped. Like, so we don't know. We know for at least 2 months that he was, but like, I'd have to assume there's an adjustment period because as we saw with Christian Bale's character, is it Preston? What's his name?
Yes, Preston.
Yeah. They kind of go through, not a breakdown in the sense, but it's overwhelming. Once you're not on the drug, it's like probably euphoria. He started sobbing when the music, when he was playing on the gramophone, whatever that's like old record player. And when like he was ripping away his film on his window to see the sunlight, like, and all that emotion pouring out because he hasn't, I assume, his whole life felt full emotions. Mm-hmm. That would be very overwhelming, similar to being, I assume, on drugs. Like, because when he ran back into the bathroom after seeing the sun and the rainbow, he wanted to give himself, but then he stopped himself because it was probably very overwhelming. So I wonder how long the partner, because you'd have to go through a period where you have to regulate your you have to be able to self-regulate your emotions. We all do. We can't walk around crying and sobbing every day.
No matter how much we want to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. You kind of have to put the brave face. You got to go to work, got to do our stuff. But I do wonder, because clearly he's really up and down. Like he's trying to hide it, but I don't think he's doing that good of a job. Like I'm just like, because obviously all this shit, and then the resistance wanted him to help take the father out. And so I think they were just using momentum, and they didn't care that he wasn't the best. I assume his partner had a lot more practice, and I think he started to get sloppy at the end.
Yeah, I think there's a certain point when you have that like emotional kind of stuff where you're like, I just want to be myself. And I think that's literally what happened to him. He was just like, I'm sick of hiding this, whatever. And like, even when he got approaching like the church and he's like reading Yeats and he puts the book up and he's like, I don't want to look at you kill me, but you got to kill me because I'm going to keep feeling like, and that was it. Yeah. So I think that's really what happened. It's like he gave up trying to hide the emotions because he's like, I just want to feel. I want to be able to feel. I want to be able to do what I want. I don't want to hide. I don't want to run away. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's something sad about a society who would clearly easily kill puppies that are tied up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't want to live in that society.
But they just seem fine with, well, that's the problem with humanity without feeling or without having compassion and empathy, is you do horrible things, right? Things happen all over the place when you have justifications, you dehumanize people, or like they're just animals, and then you do the most horrible stuff. So it's just showing that this government doesn't feel, but yet they just kill people left and right. You're just like, oh.
I mean, but we live in a society where, guess what? We don't have repressed emotions, and people are still empathetic to others. So, I mean, is it the drugs' fault, or is it just humanity's fault? Who knows?
I think they took these drugs to stop war, but they were just doing something. There was still murder, there was still death, there was still fighting, and it's like, you didn't stop that, you just
called it something else.
Yeah, you just changed it. You just took emotion, you took everything good about life away, but you were still killing. You just, it was just different. So it was like, okay, well.
Yeah, it became a oppressive society with a dictator, right? And if you don't follow this dictator and you don't fit in, we have to get rid of you, or else you'll cause chaos, and that's what they didn't want. But that's still a type of war, and I think that's what this shows. And then, one of the other things that I found really interesting about it is that throughout the whole movie, they're finding all these sex offenders everywhere, and they're running after them, and they're killing them or whatever. But all of those sex offenders and stuff were all men.
Yeah.
But the 2 sex offenders that were female that they found, they burnt them like they were witches, right? Yeah. They had them in like the red cowl thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And the cross or whatever. And it really was like burning them at the stake. Like they were, sacrifices that, needed to be taken out. And I was just like, I don't understand why that part of the story was necessary. Like, well, I know this, it was supposed to get Preston to show that emotion. Like that was like the point. Yes. But at the same time, I was just like, but couldn't they have shown, I'm not saying burning people is a nice thing or whatever, but couldn't they have shown like, women also out there being taken down, sex offenders and stuff like that?
Yes, I actually had a thought, especially when in the end, like they were storming after he had killed the head guy. Mm-hmm. And they were storming the resistance fighters, and they were all men. And then I realized, so in the underground there were women, but like women sewing and women taking care of the children. Yeah. And like, I'm sorry, there's got to be some badass women who are like, give me a gun, I'm going to go kill this bitch.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't. It's a bit of it's a sexist. There was that one. Yeah. And I was just like, I didn't realize it actually until that end scene where I was like, they're all just like dudes wearing army green.
Yeah. Yeah, which I was really disappointed about. I was just like...
Yeah, I was like, really? Come on. There's definitely women there, and we see women, and we know there are women in the resistance, but yet they're not the fighters. I'm like, what is this, the fucking 1970s?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it just made me feel that once you have feelings back, then you go back to your classic man-woman rules, and, women have their places, and men have their places, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not the whole point of your story. So why would you enforce rules over here just to get rid of different rules over here? And it annoyed me.
And also, like, and I assume this is part of the dystopian portion of it, but all the clerics were men.
Yeah. All the clerics we were introduced to were all men.
Yeah. So I can just assume they're all men. Like, I didn't see one woman with a gun. Like,
yeah.
And so, I think that was, I can see more that the totalitarian government would go into those traditional men are fighters. And I could see Father, because Father's a douche, or whoever's behind the image of Father. But it disappointed me that the resistance and the rebels, it wasn't more equal. Because I was like, women are badass, and, I don't see why. Yeah, and the whole burning thing, I didn't think about that. But it's like, I know they burn a lot of people. They either shoot them or they burn them. This is not a very nice, like, they burn a lot of stuff. But it's, with the whole red thing, it's so dramatic. I just can't see a real dystopia, them actually putting that much theatrics. I know it was for the movie, and I know it was for him seeing her, I forget her name, not the wife, the other
Mary?
Mary? Yeah, Mary O'Connell or Mary, anyway.
Something like that, yeah.
And I get why he witnessed it, but it just seemed like there was a lot of hoopla around it, and I was like, if they were burning people every day, they're not going to put them in fancy red robes and burn them. Like, they're not going to do that. Like, that's just theatrical, and I'm just like,
but also in the dystopian future, when you're trying to take away a person's individuality, why wouldn't you clad them in the same clothes as everything else to make sure they feel like they're part of the system instead of separating them from everybody else?
Yeah, like put them in like a gray smock prisoner garb, not some like sick ass like red, like, I don't know.
Well, she was wearing like this like beautiful silk nightgown, but then this gigantic little Red Riding Hood, like big hood on top that was like over her, and I was like, what? Why would you put color here?
Burning that? Like, I don't, like, why would they give her some sick ass, like, hooded thing?
Honestly, she took off the hood before going in, so maybe it's Reese.
Oh, did she?
I don't know.
But I'm just, she took the hood off, but I assume they just burnt her. Like, people in the Bernie suits. I just seemed like, I was like, okay, I get the dramatic, I get why they're doing this, because this is supposed to be the catalyst for him helping the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and she's obviously the first person he's connected with since stopping the drugs. Like, obviously his wife's already dead. But I'm just like, I just can't see them individually burning people. They shoot them in mass, so why would they just burn one person and not just burn a whole room? You know, So it's just a bit unbelievable. I'm like, a totalitarian dystopian government is going to be the most efficient. They don't have feelings.
Yeah.
Why are they putting them in these red robes? Like, oh, you're special. Like,
and why was there all this ceremony around it?
Yeah,
too?
why was there all this ceremony when they just shoot people like nobody's business? Like, I just can't see that they wouldn't just take her out back and shoot her, or just burn her with a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Like, unless she was the only one, I can't assume.
I can't assume it was that one either. Yeah.
So I was just like, it's just much. And yeah, it's right. It's the two women. All the other men get shot.
Yeah.
And the puppies.
But the women have to have the cruelest, most destructive way of getting rid of
burning
them. Yeah.
to death. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And
but even like Mary, she's like, they have the whole countdown, and she's just like standing there waiting to just be like, incinerated, and you're just like, oh my God.
I know it's for a movie, but like nobody does that. They would just like, I mean, I guess they do that in prisons when they lethally inject people, but still, it's theatrical, but I was just kind of rolling my eyes at that. Like, I was just like, oh, come on. They would,
it's a little extra, guys. Thank you. Extra.
They would just shoot her. They wouldn't burn her. They don't have this fancy burn room. Like, they would just shoot them.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I'm like, look, I want realistic dystopia or nothing at all.
Yes, I want, like, where's the gray pit in the ground where they just drop them in? Because that's I guess if you burn, you don't have anything
left. Yeah. So maybe, well, I was going to say maybe they were like environmentally conscious, but it's still fire. So they're burning something, which puts gases and stuff in the air.
I don't know how environmentally.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? It may not be that environmentally friendly after all.
What year was this supposed to be set in?
Well, the first part takes place. So the intro says in the early 21st century, which would be now.
Which
there was World War III. But then it doesn't really say the distance between that and the start of the story. But I'm willing to say it's a few generations, so maybe like 100 years or something.
Well, right, because I can assume Preston, who looks to be in his late 30s, maybe early 30s, has never felt, I assume, which means he's
like it's said that he went to their academy as like a child and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm assuming that he grew up with this society set up the way it is.
It's got to be at least 100 years because, like, if not, you would have. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's only like 50 years or something. I don't know, like how long they've been doing this.
Yeah, but my thing was when he goes to see who's been like when Sean Bean's like character, because he's been bringing stuff in, and it shows that it's like they just write things in a giant book, and I was like, really, just a book? Okay, fine. Yeah. I'm like, you've got holograms and giant screens and all this kind of stuff, but you're just writing shit in books still.
And you have a special drug that mutes all feeling. Like, I'm just like...
You'd have better technology than that.
You'd have way better technology.
I don't... computerized in some way.
Yeah, like, I don't believe in flying cars necessarily and stuff like that, but, like, you at least have some fancy-ass, like... where you just type the air and it's doing it. Like, I don't know. It just seems like we're not that far off. And it's, 2020. So
and there's no clerk anywhere writing things in a giant book right now. And if there are, come on guys, get your shit together, digitize, it's easier. Let's go.
I have a feeling like most police stuff is on a server and on a backup server, and it's not paper anymore. I mean, I'm sure they do have stuff that's paper, and they have the paper stuff that's like hidden in storage, but they've got to be computerized. Like, there's no way you're dulling people's feelings and yet you're writing in a big book. You're right. That's hilarious.
It could have been like, they could have put anything in front of that guy. Like you said, it could have been air, and he just like, bloop, and I would have been like, okay, that makes sense. But as soon as he showed me a book, I was just like, nope, that's wrong. That is wrong, sir.
Then again, in class, when the little boy at the end is in class, he's also writing on paper. And I was just like, they're still doing paper.
Yeah.
You're just like, some things are future, and then sometimes they're really not. And you're just like, even his desk, like everything's like kind of paper. And you're just like, wait, why isn't your desk just a fucking interface? Like, I don't understand. Why you still have a stapler?
Yeah.
Paper clips.
Like, what are you doing? This is not right.
Like, I only use some of that shit because I deal with seniors. That's why I use papers. But, like, I don't, like, a lot of our stuff is not on paper.
It's digitized,
right? Digitized. So it's like, I just can't see that everyone just has paper clips and a stapler on their exact thing. Like, where's your iPad? I don't understand, like, why? Is it because iPads weren't a thing and, like, whenever this was filmed? No, they were.
Well, no, in 2002, no, iPads did not exist yet.
I think the iPod came out in 2001. I worked for Apple. Like, I think the first iPod came out around then. You can fact check that. So
the first iPod came out on October 23rd, 2001.
Yeah. So, and that first one was a honker. Like, it was thick. It was great. I had one. I was in high school then, so I don't remember when iPads came out.
Let's see. Why can't you just give me a factual blurb like with the iPod? Come on, don't make me read things.
When the first iPad or tablet, I guess.
Actually, the first iPad, the Generation 1, came out in 2010.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only been 10 years, eh?
Yeah. But I think the first iPhone came out in like 2004.
Yeah. I can see that because I was around the end of high school when it came out.
2007.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was in college. Yeah. I think because once one of them came out, Apple moved quite fast.
Sorry. It was first announced in 2007, but released in 2008.
Okay.
Yes.
Isn't it funny how, like, far they've come? I just think things, once they come out, they move really fast. And then other companies kind of use that technology or come up with their own. And we actually haven't had this stuff that long. I don't know.
Well, I think it's so overly integrated into our life and our society right now that we can't imagine, despite a lot of us living in a time where these things didn't exist, we can't imagine life without it at this point, because you're just like, what did I do in 1994 when I couldn't find somebody at the mall? I cried in a corner. Like, you just didn't do anything. Like, that was it.
It is interesting to think that half of my life at this point was without a phone, like a cell phone. Obviously, I had a landline and I had an IBM computer when I think my mom bought it off the shopping network. And I was like the first of, like, my older brothers didn't really use it. I was the first. But anyway, it's interesting to think first half of my life was without this stuff. And then the second half of my life, it's like, oh my God, you essentially have $1,000 little computer in your pocket. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about where we've come. And now I can't think of going anywhere without checking Google Maps. Like, yeah,
it's very true.
I gotta know the traffic, accidents, where the cops are. I gotta know everything. And
so my dad used to do a lot of traveling when we were young, so we always had a map book in our car, right?
Yeah.
And so if we were going somewhere we'd never been before, we'd sit at home on our table, look at the map book, find out where we were, where we want to go, and actually, like, map it out and then write down the instructions and then get in our car and go. Like, that was how we did that, Now it's just like bloop and something talks to you and then you just do that thing. You're like, all right.
Yeah. No, I know we take that for granted. And I'm always thinking, like, what if my phone fails and I'm going somewhere new? And I'm like, that's why my mom was like, you should get yourself a little map in your, like, have it in your glove box. You never know. But I'm like, I just can't.
Yeah. My thing is remembering phone numbers, because I'm like, even if I take notes and somebody gives me their phone number or somebody gives me directions, it's in my phone, right? So if my phone dies, I have no way of contacting them, no way of remembering where they live, no way of knowing where I'm going to, because that's just gone. And I know 3 numbers off the top of my head. It's my mom, it's my brother, and my dad's phone. That's it. So if I have, and they're all 3 numbers that I had to know before I got my cell phone. I think that's the reason why I still know those numbers.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Like, I know my parents' landline, which was my home phone number when I was young. Same landline. And I know my own phone number. Yeah. I know my work landline, and I know Sunnybrook Hospital because I call it a lot for work. That's it. Like, I couldn't call my roommate. I couldn't call. Now, I do have phone numbers in hard copy. I do have a few of them written down in my bedroom. And I also have my contact thing backed up. But, like, if my phone, like, if I put it in a toilet or something, I wouldn't be able to like got home and had to find, I wouldn't be able to like call anybody other. And
unless I could find a computer somewhere that somebody let me log into, like my Gmail that has my contacts in it, and then I look it up, and then I'm like, thank you, and then run away.
Yeah.
But
no, I know. It's kind of interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting how this movie is like, some things are futuristic, but then you're like, it's clearly aged because it's like, yes, this is what 2002 or 3 thought of future. And you're just like, the Jetsons did it better. Like, I don't like, come on, they had iPads in the Jetsons. Like,
I mean, Star Trek was from the 60s. They did it better as well, right? I mean,
I think they wanted to keep it a bit rooted in reality, but it was a bit strange when you're like, okay, you're injecting each other 4 times a day, which actually is probably like, I think you could do that better, like a once a day
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems a bit like, how don't they have more sex offenders? Or I have problems getting sometimes meds for my clients. And like, obviously that's how he first misses his injection, is because he can't get it in time, and then he's feeling, and then he likes it, or it's intriguing, and he continues to miss it. But I'm like, if I had to rely on the whole population injecting themselves every so often, like, you're gonna have a lot of people. I bet you there's a lot of sex offenders. They have no idea.
Well, based on the end of the film, there are, right? That's
a lot of resistance, but I bet you all those people in the subway, I bet you like 1 in every like 5 person is actually feeling. They're just really hiding it, or maybe they don't know the resistance, or they're not interested in fighting back. So they're just like, I'm just gonna feel, but I'm just gonna play my part. And it's not like it takes people who have more will and more action to do it. But I have a feeling there's a lot more sex offenders that are just like chilling, going to work, not fighting underground. They're just doing their thing. Because like, there's no way he's the only one where his like distribution center was like whatever. And get his dose. Are you kidding me? I have clients who come to me, I've been out of my meds for 3 days, and I'm like, did you not think to like tell me
this earlier? Yeah, this would have been good to know. Yeah.
Like, they can't, there's gotta be, I don't know. I just think it's an inherent like, okay, sounds interesting, but like, I just think this is not that.
But I also think it's supposed to be like a form of control as well, you know? It's
they
like,
want people
it's
to take
also
it.
Like Pavlovian almost, right? Like every time you hear the beep, you automatically do a thing. And like from young kids are doing it, so it's just an automatic response. But it's true. I mean, like, I don't even know what to compare that to, because I forget things all the time. So whether it be, you know, doing things like eating a meal or meeting a friend, it doesn't matter how small the thing is. I forget to do things all the time. And it's just because I've got too much on my mind. I'm in the middle of doing other things, whatever. It's just how things are, right? So.
No, I know.
But before we finish this discussion, though, I got to talk about that last action sequence, like in general. You know, I love that sequence.
Taye Diggs' face slides down. Oh my God. I was like, you know what, though? That was kind of a letdown, because earlier they had fought and been very equal. And then all of a sudden, he just like whoops his ass in 5 seconds. I was like, I was expecting a better fight from Taye Diggs.
Well, I think that's why they showed that they're pseudo equal early on.
Yeah.
But he was feeling. But when they have him on like the lie detector test, and the thing stops moving as just a straight line, and the guy's like, oh shit. First of all, that guy is clearly feeling, because he said oh shit. Okay? Automatically, that is a feeling. I don't care what anybody says. But also, it means that he has gotten to a space in his mind and to control his body in such a way that he can feel without feeling. So I think that also took him to a higher level, because Taye Diggs came out all cocky. I'm going to win. This is bullshit. And of course, he's not going to win, because you're fighting someone who's not fighting to win. He's fighting at the highest level of his ability, and if he wins, he wins.
and your face is on the floor.
Yeah. It was funny. I was sitting there like touching my face. I'm like, couldn't that happen through a sword? I'm like, oh no, this is a soft part. But I'm like, no, part of his forehead came out. So that would have been bone, and he would have been bone. It's like, whatever.
Fucking Kill Bill sword that was. But that shit just like went right through his, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I will disconnect and like, it's fine. It can happen. This movie has other things where you're like, really? I'll take that. I'll take his face sliding down. You're like, okay.
But I also like what happens after that, where they do the whole gun kata thing, but they literally have a gunfight where they're not even shooting their guns. They're fighting each other with the physical gun because of all of the angles. Firing the weapon doesn't make any sense. And I was just like, this is the best gunfight I've ever seen in my life. Thank you.
Gunfight without being a gunfight.
Yeah.
Gun kata.
Yeah. I love that whole sequence, though. It's like, that whole sequence is fantastic to me.
But he walks into that freaking office and sees all the artwork and shit, and I was like, you fucker. I was like, the only reason you'd have artwork, and he knows, and he's just like, okay.
Yeah, you're feeling, you have to be feeling. But that's the thing too, that's again, when you go through like oppressors and dictators and stuff, they always take everything from the population and indulge in the things that they tell the population is bad, So like they're always eating too much, and they're too opulent, and Kim drugs and
has quite the stomach on him, and yet his whole army is like anorexic.
Because eating too much is bad for. Think of your neighbor, think of this, think of whatever. But yet he sits in this castle gorging on food all the time, obviously, not exercising, not taking care of himself, not following his own rules, because he's allowed to do whatever he wants, because that's what dictators do. But all right.
No, that was good. I wonder if the whole elite guard or those dudes, I wonder if they all don't feel. Like, how are they, like, they're all in on, or they all still take the injection? I don't know, like, because I was just kind of like, they're all just cool with him having paintings and clearly feeling, like, maybe they are all just allowed to feel, or like.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part either, because there's obviously a whole bunch of people involved with them knowing that father is dead. This guy is at the top and has a room that is full of all of the things he says nobody should have. And he is a sex offender. But he's allowed to rule everybody, but the rest of us just have to do this thing. So it's very unclear at that point.
Because obviously Taye Diggs is feeling, the dude is feeling Father 2.0, and I have to think the guards around him, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they're just given other privileges that they're just like, cool, we'll just look this over. I don't know. It wasn't explained, and that's cool, but I had a thought that.
And despite the overall joy of watching this film, that if it had a tiny bit higher production value, like quality to it, it would have been just better enough. But also, it likes to break its own rules, which pulls you out of the story being told as well. Because you're confused. You're like, but I thought this was the case, but all of this is showing contrary to that, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And I think the film's self-aware. I don't know. I think the creator has to know exactly what he's doing. Like, I don't know. Like, they have to know it's like a Matrix knockoff, or like, like it's not the most original story. So I think maybe hopefully they had fun doing it. I do think Christian Bale was by far one of the best actors, in the sense like he does no feeling very well. Like his face. He's good at having that no feeling look, or conveying it with very little emotion, because actors are supposed to show emotion in their face. So it's got to be hard doing a role where you're not supposed to, but you're still supposed to act. I think he did well, because
he's got nothing on Brent Spiner, but yes, I totally agree with you. Everybody else in this movie clearly is feeling things, and I'm like, this is not working for me. Thanks, guys. But also, shoot that guy in the face. It's amazing.
He's like the John Wick before John Wick. Like,
but John Wick doesn't he doesn't hide. He's stoic, but he doesn't hide emotion. It's very clear he's very emotional.
I'm just saying with all the shooting.
Yeah, but I think John Wick is done at a much better level than this movie.
Oh, the money they spent on John Wick. Also, Keanu Reeves is a gem of a human being and an actor.
Seriously.
He's like the perfect action star. Like he is. I think he's a great actor. He knows what he does well, and he does it.
And he sticks with it. And I think that's the thing that made his career. He's like, no, I don't do this very well, so I'm not going to seek out those roles. Every once in a while he did. But like, he's like, I'm good at these like weird actiony, flicky things. I'm just going to stay in my lane, and and that's where he gets all his accolades from. It's great.
Yeah,
it's just great.
And he's just such a nice guy. Like, you can't help but like him, personally.
As a human being.
As a human being. I think he's just so genuine and when you see him in an interview, that is just Keanu.
Yeah, he's so fun.
Riding the subway, reading newspapers, buying himself cake and ice cream.
Yeah.
Keanu. Everyone's just like, okay, dude, I like you. You go and buy yourself ice cream. Yeah. I have no doubt he has friends. I just think he's kind of a loner, and he's cool with that, and I think that's kind of cool.
I think our society's at a point where they find it strange that people just enjoy their own company.
Yeah.
And he's one of those people who's just like, I have no problem being by myself because I'm pretty entertaining. And but you're like, oh, you're a loner. He's like, I'm not lonely. I'm good.
Well, no, he has a partner. I can't assume he definitely has friends and family. Yeah. Like, everyone's like, oh, poor Keanu. It's like, well, no, I know people have tragedy in the past, and he seems to have overcome a lot of that, but like, he just seems like he likes to enjoy his alone time. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Go to a nice lick yourself, go have lunch by yourself, have some ice cream by yourself. Like, that sounds like a great day. I like people too, but I also like ice cream.
Yeah. Oh, and if you don't like ice cream, I'm not saying you're a bad person.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're not lactose intolerant, but you should rethink ice cream. You should give it a shot.
Oh my God.
Just letting you know.
Yes. Though, for the lactose people, there are options now.
Yeah.
Ben & Jerry's makes a decent, like, non-dairy one. I will say that.
Yeah, they make them with, like, coconut milk or something instead, right?
Yeah. It's delicious. I once accidentally bought it. I accidentally bought it, and I was like, this is delicious. It's a bit more expensive, so I don't tend to buy it, but I was like, oh, I'd eat this. It tastes... Sure, half-baked is great either way, dairy, non-dairy, so whatever you like. Anyway,
sweet.
We got off onto an ice cream tip. Ice cream season's kind of over. I'll eat ice cream in the winter, though.
Yeah, I eat ice cream all year round. Oh. It's a very bad habit I've had since I was a kid. But, like, it could be minus 50 outside, and I come home, bundled up. I'm like, oh, it's so cold. It's so cold. Have a bowl of soup or something. Warm up the tiniest bit. I'm like, I want some ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Ice cream is delicious.
Have you ever had candy cane crackle?
Yes, I have. It's too minty for me, though.
Oh, okay. I see that. You know what, though? They've stopped putting as much chocolate in as they used to. I'm suspicious. I was like, my mom always buys some at Christmas, and so whenever I'm over there.
Like, I do like a really good mint chocolate chip.
Oh, yeah.
I find the peppermint in the candy cane crackle is just, it's like the wrong kind of mint, I find, for the chocolate that I enjoy.
Yeah. No, I see that. And like, usually my favorite is like, actually, I like Ben & Jerry's, or not Ben & Jerry's, is it Robin? What's the?
Baskin Robin?
Baskin Robin does a good.
Yeah. Because that's the one that has like it's like flakes, tiny flakes in it, right?
I like that.
Love it.
I was so sad when, like Greg's ice cream closed.
Mm-hmm.
They did a good roasted marshmallow ice cream.
Yes.
And now Greg's no longer. COVID took Greg out, and
Ew.
I don't actually know if Greg's just a man. But anyway, Greg's ice cream's gone because the White Squirrel Cafe used to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
We went to go get some. This is like a month ago, and she was like, "I'm so sorry, Greg's no longer exists. They closed." And I was like, "No."
COVID's taken more from us than we wanted to. Stop at
marshmallow ice cream. It's like, you don't want to have it all the time, but like, man, like once a year, the roasted marshmallow ice cream is like, if you like roasted marshmallows.
Yeah. That's like Ed's Rules group has a creme brulee ice cream. Oh, it will give you diabetes, but just have it once a year. It's so good.
Yeah,
It's
that's the
so
thing.
good.
You don't want to be going to these places too much.
Too much. Exactly. Anyways, I bet you they don't have ice cream in Equilibrium or whatever.
Well, no, because ice cream is a joy to the world. It clearly doesn't exist. What would it be? Gray and taste like ash?
Yeah, seriously. Gah, with no sugar or anything.
Yeah. I assume in their society they eat for purpose to fuel their body so that they can do their gun kata.
Yeah, I think they eat like mush. I don't even think they eat like rice and peas. I think
Soylent?
it's like a Soylent or something, or protein shakes or some crap.
Or they have like pre-made meals, or there's something, because a lot, like even like, I don't know, sweet potatoes, or like if you're not used to eating sugar, sweet potatoes are extremely sweet. So it's like, yeah, you're right. They probably eat some Soylent Green, like some weird mush oatmeal protein pack that has everything you need.
Ugh. It's like they're in the Matrix. Oh, it's fine. Yes.
Oh. Matrix with no subtlety.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Look, I know this pulls right from the style. A lot of films came out between 99 and all that kind of stuff that have that style, but few of them like were endearing, Yeah. So there's like this one, there's Dark City that I think has the aesthetic and the overall feel, but I can't really think of many. I guess there was like The Crow and stuff, which were crap. I didn't like them, though. Rest in peace, Mr. Lee. Yeah. But yeah, like there's a whole bunch of movies, but very few of them have survived people knowing about them, and this is one of them. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, this one I think it's pretty self-aware and it's fun and it's kind of cheesy and it's, I don't know, everyone's pretty good in it, like for what they were given. So I'll take it. I don't know. I enjoy watching it, and I forgot how much I enjoyed it. If you just kind of, obviously it's got negatives about it, but hey, there's a lot of movies I like that most people don't, or that critics didn't like, or that have a low score online. Like I still like.
I don't pay that much attention to the scores online, because I find most of the time they do not align with what I think is a good movie anyways. So
there's shit that wins Oscars or that has like amazing, and I watch it, I'm just like, this shit is awful. It's not entertaining, or it's depressing. Yeah. And it's important, but it's depressing. And I'm like, I sometimes like it's nice to watch movies that have points to it that you can grow with. Great. Sometimes they're too heavy, though, and sometimes you just want something you can sit down, stop thinking, and just watch and enjoy it, which is why I like the Marvel movies and stuff like that. But like that just goes for most movies. It's
there's like an entertainment factor that they need to take into more consideration.
Yes, I do like watching sometimes very smart films, but sometimes, I just prefer to watch something stupid and entertaining.
Yes, I am not going to deny this. No, I am very much in the same boat.
Yeah, it's weird. There's like a cult following for this film, which I find hilarious. So,
but that's great.
It is great. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just like, sure, I'm for it. I'll watch it again. I will watch it again, and I was happy it was on Prime. I was like, oh, sweet, because I didn't. By the time you had like contacted me, and I know I signed up for these ones, but that was so long ago. Yeah. I can't get the real copy because my mom's got it. So but I was happy it was on Prime, both of them. So that was
worries. It's not even like I look at the extra features on them unless they're like really like captivating features.
Well, yeah, I don't think this one did this. I don't think this one has.
It had a trailer for Kill Bill on it. I don't know. That's
it. Yeah. I see that. The like knives,
sword, guns, and fighting and stuff.
I could see. I mean, Kill Bill is of a different caliber, but. Mm-hmm. Still.
Yes. Pun intended or no? Just, Well done, madam. Well done.
I can't believe you're only on E.
It's been 2.5 years? What? Yeah. It's fine.
Do you have any more E's?
I have... No, these are the last E's.
I thought so, yeah. EQ.
No, I've got Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind still.
Oh. Yes. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Such a great movie. I also haven't watched it in a long time. And I always pray when I haven't seen something in a while that it holds up well. So, but that's going to be
I think that one holds up, though.
in a month, so we'll see.
Yeah. I think that one holds up.
Yeah, I would hope so. All right. So any last thoughts on Equilibrium and Election?
Yeah, I just think people should give it a try. It's just, as long as they know it's cheesy. Cheesy. There's gun kata. Sorry, I'm so delighted by that too. Gun kata and just the way they move, I'm just like, shh, shh, shh.
It's all about, as he explains, it's all about the angles and preciseness, okay, to kill with the most efficiency.
Yes, and yes, it's right all the time. Nothing messy happens. Humans aren't unpredictable at all. It's just the angles are so perfect.
Yeah, and despite, I guess maybe they either couldn't get a rating for this or it cost too much money, but despite the fact that they shoot hundreds of people in this movie, there's no blood in it. So that's fine.
Yeah, even when the Taye Diggs' face comes off.
Oh, yeah, you're just like, it just slides away and you're like, no blood? No nothing? Okay, nobody bleeds? Oh, no, there's the part where he's, like, cut on the neck and there's a little bit of blood on his white suit. But
I think they allow a certain amount of blood. Like, I think it's got to be, like, a lot of blood.
So, yeah. But I agree with you. Like, this movie is very cheesy and stuff, but it deserves its cult standing, and it's just very entertaining, and it needs to be rewatched. And I think in our time period, Election should be watched by many people so they understand what's going on. And maybe need to just relax a little bit. It'll be fine. Cool.
Both are worth a watch, I think. Yeah. So.
Well, that's it for this episode of Off My Shelf. Until next time, you can follow along on Instagram and Twitter at ohmyshelf, or you can send an email to ohmyshelf@gmail.com. On the next episode, we'll be talking about Family Guy. Hope you'll be here to listen.